Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast, where I bring you most of the time 10 minutes or less of LGBTQ plus news. Today, it is going to be a much larger and longer news report because there is so much news that is happening. So I'm going to get right into it. So, a judge rules Catholic priests don't have to report abuse heard in confession. So, a federal judge has sided with the Catholic clergy in Washington state, ruling that priests cannot be forced to report child abuse or neglect if they learn about it during confession. The ruling blocks enforcement of SB 5375, a state law that would have required clergy to act as mandated reporters even when information comes through as a sacred of confession. Three Roman Catholic bishops sued the state, arguing that breaking the seal of confession would violate the church's sacred traditions. In a notable move, the U.S. Department of Justice under the Trump administration intervened in support of the church, stating the law infringed the First Amendment right to free religious expression. Critics warn the ruling could allow abuse to go unreported and victims to remain in danger. Advocates for the law say it aimed to close a dangerous loophole in child protection statutes. This is reported by The Independent. This is insane. If a person admits that they have abused a child, you don't have to report it. I think there is religious freedom and then there's insanity. And I don't get this at all. Next headline is Catholic school revokes enrollment for children of same sex couples. So, a Catholic school in Southeast Portland is facing serious backlash after revoking enrollment for children of a same sex couple just day before the school year begins. The decision came from Reverend Father Loon Tran, pastor of St. Agatha Catholic Church, which oversees the school. The family had already received an acceptance letter, and the children were preparing for their first day when the offer was abruptly withdrawn. Community members described the decision as discriminatory and hurtful, sparking outrage on social media and protest among parishioners. While the church has long held firm on certain positions, critics say that the move sends a damaging message to LGBTQ plus families and children, especially those growing up in religious spaces. That was reported by The Oregonian. Next, Canada halts deportation of non binary migrant, citing U.S. LGBTQ conditions. Angel Jenkel, a non binary person living in Canada, has been granted the stay of deportation by a federal court. Jenkel was set to be removed to the United States this month, but the judge ruled that Canadian immigration officials failed to fully consider the risk they may face as a queer person returning to the U.S. Specifically, the ruling concerns the state of LGBTQ plus non binary and transgender rights in the U.S., as well as role as a primary caregiver for their chronically ill fiance. Immigration and LGBTQ plus advocates see this as a potentially setting case, one that may reshape how Canada evaluates asylum claims involving queer people coming from countries that are not traditionally seen as unsafe. And the CBC radio reported that. I have to also say this. I did a podcast yesterday with two people on two different podcasts that live in Canada. And one of them in a rock band, and he is looking to tour, and he mostly tours in Canada only at this point. And I asked if he would come to the United States and tour because I think he'd be great to come to Boston and New York. His answer was he would feel comfortable coming, but his bandmates don't feel comfortable coming to the United States because they're part of the LGBTQ plus community, and they don't feel safe coming here. That is really sad. But as of now, there's no plans for them to come because of the way this country is currently set. Very scary that people are scared of the United States. And I think they would be fine coming to certain cities, especially like Boston and New York, but I couldn't say they would be safe going to other places. Who knows? St. Lucia overturns colonial-era ban on same-sex intimacy. In a groundbreaking decision, St. Lucia's High Court has struck down laws criminalizing same-sex relations. The ruling declared sections 132 and 133 of the country's criminal code, which outlawed buggery and gross indecency, as unconstitutional. These laws, rooted in British colonial rule, punished consensual same sex activity with up to 10 years in prison. St. Lucia becomes the fifth country in Eastern Caribbean to decriminalize homosexuality, following legal victories in Barbados, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, and Nevis. LGBTQ plus advocates say this is a powerful moment of justice, not just legally, but emotionally, after years of violence and discrimination. It signals that our Caribbean can and must be a place where all people are free and equal under the law. Next story is so positive. Trans joy in full display at London's largest Trans Plus Pride ever. More than 100,000 people filled the streets of London this year for the biggest trans pride parade ever recorded. Doubling last year's attendance, the event was held under the theme Existence and Resistance, offering a vibrant and defiant space for trans people and allies amid ongoing attacks on trans rights across the world. Attendees carried signs, flags, and demanding visibility, safety, and celebration. Influential voices like Jude Giannamanci, Alex Thomas Smith, and Bambi Thug shared what trans joy means to them, many describing them as an act of self love in a world that too often tries to erase them. The message was clear: trans people are not going anywhere and they deserve to live fully, freely, and joyfully. Amazing. Next, we go to Oklahoma, where the Oklahoma Ed chief accused of showing porn during a state meeting. So, the Oklahoma State Superintendent, Ryan Walters, is no stranger to controversy. He previously faced backlash for pushing Bibles endorsed by Donald Trump into public classrooms, making repeated anti LGBTQ statements. But now he's facing an entirely different kind of scandal. Two members of the Oklahoma Board of Education claimed that during a closed door meeting, Walters displayed explicit images of nude women on a television connected to his computer. The meeting was supposed to focus on teacher credentials and student attendance. The allegation has sparked for transparency and investigation, but as of now, Walters has not publicly addressed the claims. Next, bathroom bans are back. 19 states now restrict trans access in schools. So, nearly a decade after North Carolina's notorious bathroom bill, a new wave of restrictions is sweeping the U.S. 19 states now have laws preventing transgender people from using restrooms aligned with their gender identities in public K through 12 schools, and many extended the ban to government buildings. According to the Movement Advancement Project, over 1 in 4 trans people in America now live in a state with some form of bathroom restriction. Experts warn this is just the tip of the iceberg. Logan Casey of MAP reports that 700 anti-LGBTQ plus bills are being considered in 2025 alone, targeting healthcare, sports, school libraries, and more. With all the shit happening in this world with wars, everything bad that's happening, they focus on trans people using the bathroom. Next headline was, I was a lesbian and now I'm a gay man. There's a trans musician that shares candid journey. Roy, a trans musician and TikToker with over 62,000 followers, is sparking conversations around gender identity and fluidity. In a recent viral video, he shared his transition story. I was a lesbian woman and now I'm a gay man. Rory's story breaks away from common narratives and highlights the diversity within trans experiences. Fans and LGBTQ plus advocates are alike praising his honesty and openness, reminding us that everyone's path to self-discovery is different and valid. So Rory, you do you. You figure out who you want to be, and you should not care what anybody else thinks. So good for you. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is sued over alleged inaction on anti-trans workplace discrimination. At a Maryland-based LGBTQ plus advocacy group is suing the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, claiming the agency is failing to protect transgender workers. The lawsuit filed by Democracy Forward and the National Women's Law Center on behalf of Free State Justice alleges that the EEOC has repeatedly declined to act on gender identity discrimination complaints. They argue this violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and Equal Protection Clause and the Administrative Procedure Act. The case will set a new legal precedent for how trans and non binary people are protected at work. Right here in Boston Children's Hospital stands firm amid attacks on gender affirming care. Boston Children's Hospital is doubling down on its commitment to trans youth despite increasing political and media pressure. The hospital's gender multi-specialty service, the first program of its kind in the U.S., issued a powerful statement. The belief that all children deserve the opportunity to live, grow, and thrive with love support is foundational to who we are and what we do. In an era where many clinics are retreating from offering gender affirming care, Boston is making it clear they will not be bullied into silence. Love it. Of course, it's a Boston based place because Boston is liberal and amazing and they care about everybody. Christian mom wins legal right to foster without affirming LGBTQ plus kids. A federal court has ruled in favor of Jessica Bates, a devout Christian mother of 5 in Eastern Oregon, allowing her to continue her application of foster children even if she refused to reaffirm their gender identity. Bates sued Oregon's Department of Human Services after they rejected her application, citing her unwillingness to follow state guidelines that require foster parents to affirm LGBTQ plus children. The court's decision is now fueling debates around religious freedom versus protections for vulnerable queer youth in the foster system. Why would this woman want to adopt LGBTQ plus people if she does not want to go along with how they feel? Let these children be adopted by somebody that will respect who they are. Next story is family of trans teen who died by suicide sues police for delayed response. So the family of a 15-year-old trans boy, Jason Pullman, who died by suicide in 2022 after a 2-year wait for gender identity services, now is suing Suffolk police for what they say was a negligent response when Jason went missing. Jason's parents alleged that officers failed to act quickly, waiting nearly 10 hours before responding, despite being aware of his mental health needs and risk of self harm. An inquest earlier this year found systematic failures by multiple services. His stepfather, Mark Pullman, said no apology will bring Jason back, but the police can take accountability and maybe it can prevent another family from suffering like this. Very sad. Christian rock star Michael Tate accused of sexual assault by multiple men. Michael Tate, a former leader of a DC Talk and Newsboys, two pillars of contemporary Christian music, is now facing serious allegations of sexual misconduct from 8 men. Initial claims surfaced in June, followed by public confessions from Tate admitting to substance abuse and unwanted sexual contact. While he stepped down from his band in January 2025 and claimed sobriety, the news reports from Guardian have brought forward more alleged victims. Tate has not responded to these latest accusations. Next headline is By Erasure in Sports. NFL veteran flips the script. So former NFL player R.K. Russell is using sports jargon to shine a light on bisexuality in a new clever TikTok. In the video, he points out in sports going both ways, a celebrated phrase, yet in real life, bisexuals often face dismissal or invisibility. Since coming out as publicly as bi in 2019, Russell has been a vocal advocate for greater inclusions and visibility across sports and media. His message is it's time to tackle bi erasure head on with humor, truth, and a little football flair. Good for you, R.K. Russell. And my last report is Doja Cat mocks Sydney Sweeney's ad in a viral Southern drag. In a true Doja Cat fashion, the gender bending pop star just dropped a hilariously over the top parody of Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad, complete with a thick Southern accent and exaggerated delivery. The video quickly went viral with fans praising Doja's wit and razor sharp timing. While some viewed it as a critic of the influencer's culture, others say it's playful shade. Either way, Doja Cat continues to show she's not afraid to stir the pot and look fabulous. For those of you that are not aware, let me tell you a little bit about what's happening with the Sydney Sweeney drama. It's basically where she has done an American Eagle jeans ad that features herself, Sydney Sweeney, and sparked a debate about race, Western beauty standards, and the backlash against the woke culture. Basically, she did an American Eagle ad for the tagline is Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. So the brand described the campaign as a return to essential denim dressing, with Sweeney rocking 1970s style flare jeans paired in a denim jacket. I think the issue with this is that in one of the campaign videos, a reclining Sydney stands up, buttons up her jeans on camera, and pans her body and speaks in the matter of tone, saying genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue. For some reason, that's bothering people. I don't know. I don't really see the issue with it, but if people don't like it, you have the right to protest and do what you want. So that's my news for today. It went long because there was a lot of news. Hope you enjoy your Friday and have a great weekend, and you will hear from me again on Sunday. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment on what you think about today's news. Thanks for listening.